Welcome back to Rewitched, a charmed 1998 rewatch journey. I'm your host, Jess Sabanko, and I can't wait to share my thoughts on one of my favorite shows with you. Though episodes are now shorter, I will still be keeping them spoiler-free and welcome fans new and old to join me on my journey here and on social media at Rewitched_pod on Instagram and TikTok. Currently, I'm on season 5. All right, so this week we're talking about season 5, episode 21, Necromancing the Stone. This is a really strong episode, in my opinion. We have really great dialogue, excellent kind of like conjecture of all the storylines. We have some really great character stuff in terms of learning more about Grams and her history. And I just really like the way that we see kind of like the sisters interacting. Though I do have some opinions on like the overall message of the episode that I'll get to at the very end. So in terms of our innocent villain of the week, I do really think that our innocent, I guess, would be Grams, maybe Wyatt, and our villain of the week would obviously be the Necromancer as the main one. And Grams sort of does have a little bit of an antagonistic role in this episode as well towards Piper and Wyatt. To get to like the sisters' side storylines before I get into the main overall storyline, which really deals with Wyatt's wiccaning, Grams' arrival, and then that connection with the Necromancer that is revealed throughout the episode. So for Phoebe, we know that last episode, Jason was away on a business trip to Hong Kong. In this episode, he returned just for the day to come and visit her, though the real reason he's there is to ask her to come back with him. Basically, he's bought in this Asian media conglomerate and they need him to stay there for 6 months to help set things up, and he wants her to come with him. He's like, I can transfer you as far as work goes, as far as being able to see your family. Like, I have access to the private jet. You can use it whenever you want. It'll be at your disposal. It's really sweet. Like, he buys her this little like Chinese to American dictionary and she's like, oh, like, this is not happy news. And then he's like, well, it's because I want you to come with me. And it's like this really cute, really sweet moment. Now, is it too much too soon? In my opinion, yes, but also like I do think they're really cute and I do really enjoy them in this episode. She does at one point, specifically when they're seeing all the issues with Grams and like how bitter Grams is about men, Phoebe doesn't want to turn out that way, so she actually does say that she will go with Jason and she'll figure everything out and that she doesn't need to stay home forever, but then at the end of the episode ultimately does change her mind, knowing that she does need to stay with her family and makes that decision, you know, that she loves them more than this love story that she's just getting started, which I think also connects to the lesson Grams learns. And she says, you know, like, I think this is where I'm supposed to be, not forever, but for right now. And she tells him, you know, to hurry back, and they kiss. And it's like this really cute moment where like, I'm very hopeful that things will work out for them, but this 6-month separation, who knows what that's gonna do to this relationship. So it makes me a little sad because I really do like Phoebe and Jason and wanted to see where this goes. But I don't know what's going to happen with that distance, so we'll have to wait and see. As for Paige, we pick up with her still dating the same guy from last episode, Nate. Seems like things are starting to get more serious between them. They're laying together in bed. He has this Celtic wheel tattoo. She's tracing it. They start talking about the meaning. He knows all about it. She knows all about it. They have this connection of this interest in magic. And she decides that she wants to do the truth spell on him to see if he can handle her being a witch. She asks Phoebe about it. Phoebe advises her against it, saying that she can get hurt. You never know what truths are going to come out. She says, yeah, but like if I don't do this, I'm going to have to end the relationship. Like I already know where it's going to go if I don't find out. So I need to do this sooner rather than later. So she shows up at his piano bar. She does the spell. And at first he's kind of like a little freaked out after she shows her powers and stuff. But then he's kind of like, oh, like, I have no issue with this. Like, I think it's really cool, but my wife might not feel the same way. And Paige is like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, your wife? And we find out he's married. He has 2 kids, the whole thing. Paige is obviously very upset by this news. She returns home. She tells Piper and Grams about it, which then Grams makes a comment like, oh, like, I said she should have gotten a dog because she believes that dogs are more... Dogs are more loyal and they die sooner, which, you know what? I kind of vibe with Grams in this episode, but I'll get to that more when I talk about her. So Paige has put him into jail. She orbed him in. Daryl freaks out about this later in the episode and is like, you can't just like store your boyfriend here. Like, he has rights. And she's like, I don't give a fuck. And he's like, cheating is immoral. It's not illegal. Like, this whole thing. But she tells him about the spell and that he'd reveal that she's a witch and that he's helping witches and all this stuff. So he's kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, keep him here forever? She's like, no, it's a 24-hour spell. Just like tell people he's insane if they ask. So she leaves him there. She returns home. She starts having these really bitter feelings about all men, joins right on that man-hating bandwagon along with Grams, talking about orbing testicles and like basically like Jason's business trip may be a cover. He could be married or have a mistress or be gay. You never know. Like, men lie, all this stuff, which I found to be a really funny scene. And Phoebe's like, no, like maybe he's just perfect for me. And then at the end, she does ultimately go back to the jail to let him out. They have this conversation where he's like trying to lie to her and she like basically tells him, you know, what a scumbag he is, all these types of things. And then once his memory is erased, he's kind of like, why am I in jail? And she's like, I don't know. Why don't you ask your wife? And then leaves, and Daryl threatens him. He's basically like, don't call her, don't bother her, don't ask any questions. He's like, oh, is that a threat? And Daryl's like, yes. And I was like, oh, my man. Love you, Daryl. In terms of Piper, so obviously she's preparing for Wyatt's wiccaning, which is a blessing that kind of showers the babies in good light from the family line that they do for all newborn witches. She's setting up for that by vanquishing demons who might attack the spirits because they have to summon the spirits of all of the matriarchs of their line. So she calls Paige in to come like help her vanquish a creeper, which is the last one. The next morning, her and Leo are preparing to like summon Graham. She's really nervous about like Wyatt's outfit and stuff. She's like, oh, like I want her to be impressed. And Leo's like, oh, like it's her great grandson. Like she's gonna be happy no matter what. And so they do summon her, and then Phoebe and Paige bring Wyatt down. They introduce him, and Grams is like, Wyatt is a silly name for a girl. They're like, Grams, like, look at the outfit. He's a boy. And she's like, oh my God, like, what went wrong? And Leo's like, excuse me? Like, everyone's kind of like, she's like, well, like, it's always been girls. Like, this is tradition. This is what our family is. I do want to look at a couple of direct quotes because there are a lot of really good ones in this episode. So I'm just going to pull those up. So, for example, in that scene where she's first introduced to Wyatt, Phoebe and Paige both go to meet up with their guys. And she's kind of like, better off with a dog, more loyal, and they die sooner. And Leo says, excuse me? She's like, oh, don't mind me. You know, I've never had much luck with men. He's like, weren't you married 4 times? She's like, exactly. And I'm like, Grams, I love you so much. Then later on, when she's talking about why she can't do the wiccaning for Wyatt, she says these quotes: men cannot be trusted with magic. They're weak, and evil will eventually win out. Piper's kind of like, what about Leo? And she's like, he's an angel. He doesn't count. Phoebe comes in because she hears Piper and Grams arguing. She's kind of like, what's going on? And Piper's like, oh, like your grandmother hates her grandson. And she's like, that's not true. And Piper's like, oh, I'm sorry, you just hate men. And what Grams says is, no, I don't trust men. There's a difference. There's a reason they don't last long in this family. It's because they're always trying to take advantage of what we have. Look what Cole put you through. Look what your father did to your mother. And then she basically says that she can't bless the baby because of all of this. Piper's like, oh, like you're just bitter, like all these things. Ultimately, I do think that Grams is in the wrong. Obviously, this is a baby. He hasn't done anything to deserve being treated like this. But she does have some valid points in saying, like, men have brought a lot of trouble into their family, talking about what happened with Phoebe and Cole, and then we're going to see in this episode what happened between her and the Necromancer. So Armand, the Necromancer, is an ex of Penny's. We find out that they had this relationship. He was basically trying to get close to her so that he can use her family's spirit to resurrect himself. It's unclear where exactly in the timeline this happened, but obviously they did fall in love. He says that like he never meant to fall in love with her, that he did. And knowing that she's a spirit now, because they do go to banish him again, his little demon that works with him brings him right back. He realizes that Penny's a spirit and that he can now use her power to kind of like come fully back to life, and he wants to do it with her. She talks about hating him, and he says that she only hates him because she loved him. There's this really toxic, like Phoebe Cole type dynamic. We got our first hints of that when in the Book of Shadows, she was writing about like all his likes. just like Phoebe did with Cole when she was writing about Cole's human form after their breakup in season 3. So it was very reminiscent of that, and I really loved that callback. Phoebe, of course, is the one later in the episode to realize that they have a history, and then Piper's like, oh my god, like that makes so much fucking sense. And then they do come up with a plan that since Grams is now a spirit, she can use the ghost vanquishing spell to permanently vanquish him instead of just banishing him back to the spirit realm. So they decide to do that. During this time, we see that Grams is under the control of the necromancer because when he covets a spirit, he can kind of like keep them under his total control, which obviously she doesn't like. The sisters summon her back to the manor, and she's about to do exactly what he wants, which is summon the lion because he's controlling her. But then Paige casts the truth spell on her after Piper suggested in order to get her to talk about how she really feels, and she says that she loves him. And now she knows that he really did love her too. He didn't just use her, but that she loves her family more. And so she does do the ghost vanquishing spell, gets rid of him. Then she has this moment where she's talking to the girls and she apologizes. She says, you know, like, I shouldn't have held this against Wyatt. I hope that you and him can both forgive me, like really trying to make amends with Piper there. And then saying to Paige, like, not to turn out bitter like her, because Paige all throughout the episode started making similar man-hating comments, saying how Grams was a wise woman, all that type of stuff. So kind of giving the idea not to give up on love, which I think is a good message, but ultimately, like, especially in today's dating scene, it is hard to trust people, particularly men. And I am very much one of those people who believes that, like, this episode is very, like, in my opinion, trying to compare, like, misandry to being just as bad as misogyny, but, like, misandry hurts men's feeling, misogyny kills women. Like, it's not the same thing. It shouldn't be discussed about as if it is the same thing. But that's something I could talk about for 4 hours, not like 15 minutes. So I'll just say that, and I'm happy to have more of these discussions with anybody who's interested in talking more about it in relation to this episode in the comments, or if you want to reach out to me otherwise. Grams also does say that Wyatt looks like their grandfather and that he was a good man. So kind of this idea that, yes, she's had a lot of hurt in her life, but she also knows that, like, not all men are actually evil. She just kind of like takes it to that point because of the hurt she's felt. But overall, I do like the idea that, like, you shouldn't give up on love just because you've been hurt. I know that for me personally, I am in a place where I kind of have, and maybe one day I would get past that. But as of right now, like, I would never date, like, after all the ways that I've been hurt. Like, I just don't have an interest in pursuing anything romantic. So I understand how someone can get to that point. And I understand also that, like, it could be damaging to you in the long haul, but everyone has to make their own decision for themselves. Women's lives don't have to revolve around romance. And, you know, I think that should ultimately be up to Paige if and when she is ready to move on. Though, like she said, this is the first time she's had feelings for someone that were serious since Glenn. So I do feel very bad that she got burned in this situation by someone who was a liar and a cheater. I do like, you know, then at the end we do have the wiccaning, which is this very cute little ceremony where all these really old-timey ghosts are summoned to help with it. No Patty, no Prue. I mean, obviously I knew there wasn't going to be Prue because of Shannon, but it's just like in terms of the world of the story, kind of strange that they wouldn't be here to be part of the blessing. But they do it, and they talk about him being bathed in goodness, them being this constant protection for him throughout his life. It's really cute. It's really sweet. They all say blessed be and disappear, and then we're left with the family kind of standing there with the baby. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes. These hints that, like, men turn evil. We've seen evil try to take Wyatt multiple times. I wonder if this is a continuous thing that will come up, and if this change in gender for the family will ever have anything to do with his ongoing storylines as he develops into, you know, more of a child and into his powers. Obviously, we do have a new baby playing Wyatt in this episode so that he's aging up a little bit. But overall, in terms of the episode, the storylines, I did enjoy it. I'm really interested in what's going to happen next, where everything's going. More character development as well as, like, development of Wyatt's character in terms of the new family structure. But yeah, we have 2 episodes left of this season, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in those. That's all I have for this one, so I hope you'll join me back next time.